Very good morning to all the students. So I'm very glad to be the part of session 7, project closure ethics and digital management. In the last 6 sessions, we had a brief discussion on how the project life cycle is helping and facilitating towards the product life cycles and prototyping, and how auditing process is going on, and what are all the strategies in which the project is getting identified and getting into the termination. What is the flow of activities right from the project initiation till its closure. And in the last session we had a discussion on project closure and its consequences. So far in the 6 sessions we had discussions about these modules which were having measurable contributions in making a project into either successful criteria or a failure criteria or a learning. So, in the current session, we are going to have a discussions on how ethical conduct is going to make a importance. That is the second part of our course, actually, project closure, ethics, and digital management. The second part is what dealt from the module 4, and in the module 5, we'll be having a discussions and furnishing details on digital management. So the flow as of ethical conduct is getting into the role play. What are all the values and how it is getting initiated, and how it is getting believed that the ethics is going to be the running fuel for making all the activities in a project with respect to some values, morality, and making the functions into a activist one rather than making it as a document. So major projects are being dealt on with the view of doing it right from the fundamental behavior till the extreme behavior, till the paramount of any kind of organization. The issues lies only within the policy framing and in documentation. They are mainly focusing only on the file keeping work and making the entire activities and responsibilities and as well as the liabilities of each and every individual or each and every employability status is overall focusing only on making a clear cut paperworking, and rather than it is only in documentation, not into practice. So this is the reason for major unethical happening in majority of projects. So for which what are all the analysis parts we need to be strong enough? Number one will be on resources. Whether all the resources are in black and white, whether all the resources are optimum, who are all the end considered elements, who are all going to be the end-to-end entrepreneurs or end-to-end employable or end-to-end activists, who are all the resources allocators and the resources seekers. So, majority of contributors with respect to this ethical conduct are majorly divided into either a resource and a end-to-end activity. And coming to the secondary element, that is the third element, is based upon the fundamental principles and majorly related to procedural activities. So, as of this particular frame is concerned, the best possible decisions could be taking the consideration of these 3 points, as I told, resources and making the end-to-end activist or end-to-end major people who are all related in with basically of an organization, and coming to a final decision making with respect to the fundamental principles. By all putting all these together, the ability of an organization can be furthermore tuned up, furthermore keyed up, and the key performance indicator of the organization will reveal the exact influence of ethics, and that influence will start influencing across the domain of an organization, irrespective of department, irrespective of category, irrespective of either a senior employee or a junior employee. Across all the disciplines and domains, it must start ruling the entire in and out of a project. Then only this ethics could be a part and parcel of each and every activity rather than making it artificially. In some companies, in few or some companies, they are doing it as an artificial agent or artificial ingredient as of ethics is demanded in majority of society. So the organizations are in a position to make it as an artificial element rather than giving it as a natural resource or rather than giving it as a routine habitual function. So the major codes what we have to measure the ethics are all deliberated into around 6 bullet points. The first one is taking ownership. So, if I'm going to be an employee in my organization, taking my education institution, I'm working for more than 5 to 6 years. I have been given a project called exam cell coordination. I have been given a project called placement activity for my students. So I am taking around 6 to 7 responsibilities in my department. Out of 8 people in my department, I'm taking around 6 to 7 responsibilities. Taking the class coordination of the second year, taking the important placement level of activities, and taking the examination services, and looking after the website and branding of our department. So, similarly, if I get involved in these seven major pillars of the department, I am the one who is going to get exposed majorly. And when I tell my name to someone who is going to be the stranger, obviously, the ethics, what I have followed, and the transparency, what I have given. It is not only on consistency, it is not only on measuring, it is majorly focusing on transparency. Rather than if I'm not transparency in my work, obviously the work will get diluted, and I'll be getting a negative remark, and slowly the work getting diluted and it will be out of the box. So the first most important element is taking ownership. I may be a junior most fellow in the department, but if I'm taking ownership rather than the senior fellow in the department, I'll be given more recognition. I'll be getting more identity. So that identity is nothing but it is all including all the requirements, all the name and fame, all the allocations, inclusions, everything will be given to me, and the management will give me an appropriate recognition. And that appropriate recognition is because of giving extreme transparency. Even all the data what we share in our, I mean, promotional sites, or what are all the domains and what are all the social media platforms we are involved in, give them the transparent record, don't fabricate. So fabrication can be done for any kind of inspection or auditing, just for paperworking. Paperwork we can do it as any kind of activity, and if I'm going kind of projections or fabrications, it will be easily shown up, and it can be easily identified that this is going to be a cooked up data. But when it comes to responsibility, even though if it is meager, even though if my institution is offering 50 percentage of placements, I should be in a position to tell it openly, frankly, nothing wrong in it. I can furthermore explore and progress on it. So don't be in a position to hide something and fabricate a data which is to be noted down with the open, transparent nature. So as of our institution and the responsibility given to me is concerned, I'll be mostly focusing on actual data and giving it, even though if the result analysis comes under 80 or comes under 70, it is to be given openly. Or whatever the academic discretia given to me, the project's allocations will give me a utmost categorizations of responsibility and fulfilling my commitments, getting respects from major resources. And as I told, decision making without any disclosing activity. And when I try to interest on a particular disclosing activity, it is going to be a open nature so that the decisions will be consolidated. It will be integrated compositional decision. So I need to follow a comprehensive compositional decision, which is to be with respect to all the appropriate stakeholders too, right from my parents, alumni, all the internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, who are all the members of my academic council, who are all the members of my governing council, who are all the board of governance, who are all the board of studies, who are all initiating the entire change of curriculum, who are all the talent enablers, who are all the strategists, who are all the change makers, guides. These people are going to invest and seed the sampling of ethics across the departments in an organization. So, when I try to implement all the 6 bullet points what I have mentioned in this frame, obviously I'll be getting lot of oppositions, lot of non-cooperations, lot of unity, lack of unity, lot of discrepancies among my employees. But how to overcome it? So, with respect to overcoming, I need to focus on some elements which are all highly reported, highly cited, highly projected. How it is going to meet out the standards and the forecasted outcomes. It is to be noted down with a full standardized way of outcome based learning or outcome based performance. Then only we can implement these 6 points in our routine habitual works. If it is not going to be an outcome oriented way of learning or outcome oriented way of performances, it could not be a possibility of making all the 6 points into reality. So, after implementing these 6 points, what should be done as a manager or as a digital resourcer or a responsible individual in a team? I cannot say the remaining 7 people are not getting equal task as of myself is concerned. I'll be getting, since being the junior in the overall team, I'll be piled up with a lot of responsibilities. Since they say the young blood can do lots and lots of wonders, major senior people will have the minor works, and majority of junior peoples will have the major contributions and the major task. The thing and the flexibility and the joy of working is making all the compilation, and even the organization is very well clear that a junior fellow will do four times the task of senior fellows. But even though the tasks are minimal in the topmost category and the tasks are maximal in the lowermost category, which is again unethical activity. There is no equal distributions. There is no equal contributions. So one who is going to contribute will be the never-ending contributor. He is going to do the regular task. Even he can be able to do the task of 3 or 4 people at a time. He is eligible to do, and he can survive anywhere. And this is the reason no majority of senior fellows are not switching over from one organization to other organization, because they find a better place to stay idle. So whenever a junior fellow is making all kind of explorations, interdepartmental explorations, the five framework what I have mentioned is going to be the real time scenario. That is ethical issues. I'll be getting surely an ethical opposition. I may have some oppositional elements. I may have fullest politics. I may have the fullest corrupted department or the corrupted team mindset in order to make myself to get into the next level of identifications or next level of promotions. Major organizations are trying to extract work and get the facts, and they identify after a set of tenure or after a set of time, they start firing and they start recruiting the fresher. This is going to be the cycle. So this is going to be a never-ending cycle, making all the relevant ideologies, making giving lot of project groups, giving identical groups, and making a decision, giving a proper experiment to them, getting their observation, and then it is going to have a same reflection in the outcome. And the people who are all young blood, like around 30 to 40 years of age groups of people working in a department, will have a vibrant knowledge, will have a striving knowledge, will have a dynamic approaches. Those dynamic approaches will make them to be within ethics. And people might be in about to retiring stage or might be in a particular area of seniority, may nearly having 20 to 25 years of experience in the same organization. Underline the word same organization, without even switching over right from the job offer till date. 25, 27 years of experience in the same organization may or may not be into the part of ethics, because they know in and out of an organization, and organization is also directly or indirectly supporting them and making them to stay idle. And one who is going to approach as a new one will make an entire function clear, and this is how the organization is identifying their own traps. This is the reality in majority of organizations. This is what literally happening in the organizations, which is highly making the competitions and being a part of the competition and slowly coming out of the competition. And this is the reason the lack of ethics is because of these kind of unstable or idle resources. So to be a part of ethics, I need to identify the idle resources. I need to throw away those idle resources, scrap the idle resources. Then the company or the organization will start functioning in a stimulant way, and that stimulant way will make surely ethics into role play. So when ethics are being considered as issues, and confusions, or into the considerations of complexities, I'll be into a seesaw, either this or that or neither this or that. So this particular activity, either or neither nor, will give me a clear cut confusion. I cannot have any kind of routing or scheduling or my priority, nothing comes into role. So by that point of time, I'll be getting some favor. One who is going to stay idle, those two idle fellows will have favor to each other, and they will not be having so much exposure in the department. And one who is coming as a workaholic or workaholic individual, and those individuals will get into the level of making all the recognitions and taking the task into the consideration and exposing them often. This is the reason major young fellows are working in the categorizations of exposing themselves rather than working really. So the problem lies in the company right from the favor, getting into the wrongdoing, and making all the people to get into the wrong direction. And the problem lies within the top level institutions, middle level institutions, and the lower level institutions. All the institution level decision making, everything is getting collaborated, and they are joining hands with the negative fellows. And there is a non cooperation and non coordination between the workaholic systems, and one who is going to be the spy in the department is going also going to be the sleeping cell, or also going to be one who is going to nullify the function. And the lastly, speaking on how the sensitive materials which are all occupied, I'll give you an example. There are CCTV surveillances across all the institutions nowadays, right from library, right from corridor, right from classroom, everywhere, whatever the place we are into the, and major private areas and major, for example, sick room. If there is going to be a sick room in the organization, that sick room should not have this. So there are some surveillances which are either directly or indirectly monitoring us, and they are asking some information from the existing spy in an organization and the department, and those spy are going to give a set of information which are all dimensionally changing, and those spies are also going to be the evidential activities of making the wrong judgmental activities, and wrong judgmental activities becomes the hardest choice, and the business will be ambiguous and contradictory too, and they may not be fulfilled experiences for which what is the solution to be given? Make everything available online and give them the date, time, person enrolled, how many times they are iterating. Everything becomes transparent. Slowly, we were into the situation that no one is going to question me. Just open the login, have the visibility, then make yourself understand what is the real problem behind this. Since how many times I have logged in, how many times I have logged out, what is the screen time, what is the switchover time, everything is to be recorded. If it is going to be an online way of working, surely the hiring process, the recruiting process, the firing process, exit interview, entry interviews, that is verification, posting attendances, giving impressions on guest lectures and other kind of external activities, everything to be recorded online. And there must be a scrutinizing board to monitor this, and that scrutiny will give me the clear cut logged in and logged out time, the name, the person who is approving the on duty, the person who is applying for on duty, the person who is going to witness an on duty, and all the photographs to be uploaded, and finally the file to be closed online. So when I do this as e-filing, when I do this as digitalization, obviously everyone sitting in their place, survival becomes easier, the surveillance becomes easier, the survival becomes easier, and obviously the job becomes so very easier for us to monitor and easiest to multiply the business to. Obviously, the multiplication and as well as the monitoring and as well as the manipulation, everything becomes easier in business provided if it is going to be away from these eight dilemmas. This is the thing which is either this or that, and the CISA should not be there. I need to be either in the top category or to be in the lower category. I need to have the proof for even my success or even for my failure. So, for all the things, there must be a solution. There must be iterations. There must be ideas. A project manager should identify the team member who are all the opinion oriented, who are all the active participants. I should not be a null one making all the works to getting delegated to someone and giving the task as if they have completed it. And this is the reason conflicts arises, discrepancies arises, and the project is getting into unsuccessful criteria. So it should have a sense of subordinated ethics along with all the iterations, along with outcomes. And when I'm going for any kind of understandings, I should be in a position to ask them what is the real explanation that is in and out of all the A to Z explanation to be dealt on. I must be in a situation until and otherwise, if I'm not of part of being this work, I cannot give any kind of explanation. I'll be like saying mum, as if stating that I am witnessing the meeting, but I don't have any queries. It is not a kind of, disciplined activity in a workaholic system. If I'm a part of a meeting or part of a general body meeting or a departmental meeting, I should be a question riser or a question answerer. I should be in a situation to understand all the inputs. I cannot make myself expert in all the departments, but I can get an awareness. Why? Because getting an awareness in what are all the things happening around me is also ethics. And I cannot fold my hands, sit in a corner, stating that this is none of my business, this is out of my task. I cannot say this. So, as an individual, I must have an exposure. That is what digital exposure or ethical exposure or project exposure must be there. This is a reason major projects are given individually, not as a team. Why? Because if in a team, if all the members are working and one or few members are not working, they might not have an idea what is really happening, what is really behind this particular problem, when it is to be submitted, what is the tenure given to them. Major people are not aware about this, and this is the reason projects are keep on fluctuating from one team to another team. If an organization is taking up a project from any governmental associative bodies, if the government associative bodies are giving a project on a tender, if the company is going to take up the tender from the government body, and if they are going to start the task, they find the right individuals, all the right individuals will be putting up in a team and they start tasking on it. So if it is completed within the team, fine, no problem. Almost 85 to 90 percentage are done on this. Remaining 10 to 15 percentage, which are all keep on migrating from one team to another team, is because of making it unethical, making it non-collaborative, making it non-standardization, unauthorized access. And this is happening across all the field, irrespective of both government and non-government, irrespective of private and subsidy, irrespective of individual and corporate, anywhere, whatever the stream you are pitching in, it happens in meager percentage. I'm not telling it as major contribution. Majorly it is good, but minorly it is to be focused to correct those minor traps. If it is corrected or if it is ignored, even though if it is ignored also no problem. 85% success efficiency is fine. I need not demand for 100% efficiency. 85 to 90% efficiency is good. But that 10% negative remark will ruin the 80% of success. This is the problem. I need to get a replacement with respect to the evidential activity. That is what the sixth point is insisting us. Evidentially speaking, I should have a clear cut replacement. That replacement should make a reasonable change. Say like 85 to 90 or 90 to 95. That reasonable change is what expected. Apart from that reasonable change, nothing is expected from the organization side. But organization is to conduct a survey, not on spying. They must conduct a black and white survey every semester once or every year once or every quarterly once. They must have a survey. And that survey results must be displayed in their open blogs, in their open platforms or websites, whatever could be the open sources. And it should be made visible to all the employees under what rubrics, under what metrics I'm working on. What is my performance measure? What is my metric? By understanding that metric and standards, the employees start enhancing them, and finally, they will be putting up in their very good optimistic work. They try to fit in themselves in a very good surrounding. And this is how we are increasing ethical behavior. So, when I try to implement those ethical behavior, I must follow some principles. So, when I consider these principles among nine principles, All the principles are all on existing categorization, right from formal structures, investigations, objectives, documented roles, change management, risk assessment, mature value deliverability capabilities, making the communication effectively. And every fortnight once or every weekly once, I'm conducting a progress review meeting, and that review meeting is recorded. So the minutes of meeting is also being considered a point, valued a point. It is to show some progress. It should not be a, I mean, documented one. It should have a progressive way of recording things. When it is going to be a progressive way of recording things, it is surely going to give you a remarkable change. And that remarkable change should be free from risk. If it is risk oriented, kindly omit or kindly say no to those jobs which are all headache to the organization. Why? Because the department level decision to make very clear that the organization should not get interfered in these kind of departmental level issues, which is also coming under ethics. I should intimate them, but I should not disturb them in participating in giving me the solutions for my departmental level issues. I cannot call a CEO, come sit along with us, give me a solution to the problem. The head of the department must make arrangements that what could be the remedial measure, how to share the workload, how to share the contributions, how to identify the progressive employee and non-progressive employee. What is the remark a non-progressive employee should get? If the remark given is not identified, even though after knowing a guy who is idle, if the organization and the department keep on giving them incentives, allocations, people are like this. Some people are like this in majority of organization. Around 100 organization, around 10 to 15 percentage of people who are all idle are getting all the benefits. In this point of time, a working hard working or a smart working, the remaining 85 percentage of people who are all struggling like anything for getting a recognition, the same fellow is also getting recognition equally to them. Then what is the difference? So this difference to be noted down, that is what this 9 points are going to give us an idea. There must be a difference between a working fellow and a non-working idle fellow. That is what ethics is giving us an input. If it is not done, if the non-working fellow is getting same kind of incentive, say like 1 lakh per month, the working fellow will also get 1 lakh per month. Then how the non-working fellow will understand the reality, or how they will get a remark without getting any kind of remark? Why the Then obviously the working fellow will also have the same mindset of getting into that 15 percentage, and slowly it will become 70-30. At one point of become 60-40. At one point it becomes an 50-50. And this is how project is getting terminated. So the ethics, the digitalization, the transparency, the value, the moral values, the morality, everything is going to give me a transparency, and that transparency is threatening me. I cannot stay unupdated in a single day. I cannot go to a unupdated meeting without getting an updation. If I go and attending a meeting, I'll be in a position to get ashamed without giving a progress. I cannot say a contributed point to the meeting progress, and I'll be out of the competition. So, when this particular activity is well known to me, I should be in a situation to identify who are all the. I should be at least a contribution to be done. I should take at least a responsibility in a project, identifying a sponsor or identifying a key resources. I'll give you an example. So, in a regular way of classroom teaching, we might be having some monthly one guest lectures, or monthly one industrial visits, or monthly one I mean IV, that is internship valuing program, IVP what we call. So we will be taking the students apart from the classroom teaching. We will be taking them to some franchise business models or canvas. We'll be taking those fellows to a, hypermarket, say for Spar hypermarket. We'll be taking those guys to Spar hypermarket, and give them the reality, what is exactly happening in a hypermarket, and how the people are struggling like anything to market things, how the product reaches the market, and how the market is so very flexible for the vendors to make the product so very available. These are all the real time training and coachings we make the students get involved in. So for 6 months of a semester, we'll divide the things either two IVs and two IVPs and one seminar or guest lecture, we will plan accordingly. So, in this current semester, that is from July to December 2024, in this odd semester, we might be in a position to conduct these many planned elements. After completing the planned activities, if I have some sufficient time before my semester, I will be in a situation to conduct some added things which are all out of my plan. So, there will not be any kind of restrictions or there will not be kind of saying no to this. Why? Because it is a kind of progress. What I have not done in the previous event semester, I'm going to do it in our semester. So I'll be in a position to get some favorable approaches, and this is how I'll take event management as my responsibility. If I show this progress, surely my head or my principal or my dean academics or my dean administration will give me a encouraging capability that you are doing good. There is some progress. It is not like limited to account. I may not limit to account. I may go for further improvements too. It is as per plan. I have two IVs. If I go for third IV, the management is not going to say no. Why? Because it is trustworthy. Why? Because it is going to be a unique one. It is a self-explanatory program. It is academically improving the progress and the curriculum and the exploration activities is done. Out of classroom teaching, we are doing something new, unique. And for your information, the Chandrayaan 3, Dr. Veeramuthuvel is one of our alumni. So he is the one who guided our students to give a satellite approaches to Mars 2, and for which our students got, award prize from Honorable President. So this was a remarkable incident. One who had a very good stringent plan for making a Chandrayaan 3 has given an input on making our own students to get into the part of ISRO and making all the planned activities. And they are trying to make a satellite way of options and making the approach towards Mars. So slowly it is getting tremendously improved towards making a remarkable things. This is how open transparency comes from. And this is the way of not promoting or establishment or trading. It is a kind of activity which is just sharing the resources and making an activity which is outside the box. So he or she might not be in a position. Dr. Veeramuthuvel responsibility is nowhere related. He can easily says no to this, but he is the one who spent his time, valuable time. Giving a proper training to our students, all the students of electronics and instrumentation, all the students of communication engineering, and making the students of CSE IT. All the students have participated in a rover, that is a Range Rover. Prototyping, and that prototyping was established and it was displayed in Imagine 2024, conducted by Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. And this particular event, they had displayed this product out of our own prototyping. It has come to a successful criterion, and that experiment has been displayed across all the technical institutions. And out of the technical institution, our students have got a very good betterment in making the expos a grand success. This is out of ethics. This is out of transparency. And more motive of this particular initiation is mainly because of making a sponsoring. And what is the making charges we do get into this? It is being supported and funded by incubation centers, which we do have in all the higher education institution, which is what we call it as Center of Excellences, COE. We call it as Center of Excellence or incubation centers or prototyping centers. We do have all the mission abilities, and out of which the entire process is being done, which is also outcome of ethical behavior. And whenever a point or chance comes, I cannot say no. So I do have a matrix for me to decide, that is responsible, accountable, signing off, not always getting utilization. Somewhere I can make use of those resources to come and give us a delivery address. I cannot simply make him as a full-time faculty of our institution. He or she who might be in a position to come deliver a very good welcome address to our students, and that might be inspiring and that might be motivating. Again, consultations. I can consult them how to change this activity, without which, right from the scratch, no one is ready to, guide. I should go with the outline skeleton. Then only they will be in a position to consult with me. This is how management is expecting all the employees to be. At least a partial contribution to be given from my side. Then only the organization is ready to support me financially, technically, politically. What kind of peripheral elements they can support, they are ready to do. Provided it should be in a regular way. It should be in a contributed way. It should be in a signing off way and making all them to involve equally. If I'm not involved equally, if I'm getting into a nullification factor, it will be a remarkable situation for me. Either signing off is not always required, RACI model or RASCI matrix, model or matrix. Everything is preferential activity. It is to be engaged with the confirmation. It is to be an influencing element and relevant information to be collected and their role to be recognized as a individual dean R&D. I must get a position called research and development associate. So research and development consultant or dean research and development. So there must be a center or a cell in our working institution, either a corporate or an organization or like education institution, whatever the place. I must have a cell called R&D, and that R&D is going to give me a widespread communication preferences. R&D, if the cell is stimulated very well, if it is engaged very well, surely take my words, R&D is going to be the data warehouse for ethical structures. Why? Because when it comes to experiment, surely it will be the result, even though if it is negative, it will be shown openly. If it is going to be a survey, I may fabricate it. If I'm going to be a word of mouth activity, I may tell it in a negative manner, I may tell it in the favorable manner according to me, I can make it flexible. But when it comes to experiment, I cannot do any kind of fabrication because the instrument is highly calibrated, the experiments are highly observed from all the perspectives, then only the results are given. So in order to inculcate ethics in organization, the working structure should be changed as experimental working, not on data collection survey alone. Majority of our employee side, they are doing only on data collection and survey and analysis. When it comes to analysis, I may take any kind of there must be a tolerance. There must be changes. There must be a limitation. I can make it so very flexible according to my own limitations. But when it comes to point of experiment, surely I should expose the results only. I cannot go for any kind of changes in my roles. So when it comes to the importances, surely it could be executed with the individual essence of making all the ethical conduct, giving them the norms and giving them individual allocations and disclosing all the capabilities and all the responsibilities overall the people involved in them, and oftenly changing their contributions. Suppose in this current semester, I'm taking this paper called Project Closure Ethics and Digital Management. In the next semester, I must be in a position to take some other paper. I cannot say that this paper, I have all the records, files, course files, assignments, question papers, question banks, and all. So, if the next semester comes to the same question paper handling, I will be taking the same question paper as unethical. I must give the chance to someone who to learn the same paper in a new way. If I take some other paper called innovation technology or research methodology, I'll be in a position to go for some new papers. So by end of 2 years or 3 years, I'll be having some idea on 6 to 7 subjects new, rather than telling that I am expert in this particular paper. This is how project management have to stimulate ethics. So this is a kind of example I'm telling. So similarly, in major organization, people are taking up the task which are all easy to them and carrying the task that as if they are doing it for the whole day, and finally they project themselves as they are the workers, they are the elemental contributors. It should not be the way. Actually the task has to be keep on changing. Suppose in this semester, if I'm taking the placement responsibility, the next semester, the some new faculty or some new colleague or a co-worker must take this. Then only everyone will be having a open approach, as an open knowledge on what is really happening in the department. There are people who don't know what is the placement statistics in the department, apart from the placement coordinator. It should not be the way. This is the wrongest way what we do in our regular working culture. It says that it is not my responsibility. Finally, they say the simple line called it is out of my responsibility. I take only classes. I take the responsibility of class coordination. I take the responsibility of ISO auditing. I take the responsibility of faculty cadre ratio, recruitment. So they make it so very restricted. In a department, at least if I am not expert, never mind. It is not at all required. I need not be an expert in all the area, but I can know what is literally happening. At least the knowledge, at least the happenings can be recorded with respect to the ethics. Then only when I go out in some other period of time after 5 or 6 years in a new institution, if they give me a new opportunity, I'll be in a position to say yes. If this particular thing is not done, if it is not done in a regular way, surely people might not migrate. They might not have confidence in migrating. They might not have the guts in going to a new job. This is how they stay idle in the same organization. But how people see is they are very loyal to the management. They are very loyal to the organization. The same way they are projecting them. An ultimate reason is they are unaware about the opposite tasks. They are unaware about the remaining tasks in the department. This is the reason they are not migrating. But we people judge them like they are very loyal, they are very contributors to the particular project, to the particular organization. This could not be the way. This is highly condemnable, and everyone should take the responsibility. It should be a compositional allocations of workloads. So when it comes to delivery, so, as of now, what are all the approaches and what are all the successful criterions I would like to ensure taking up all the activities right from implementation, strategies, policies, procurements, allocations, everything I'm doing it in the right way. But when I start to deliver it to the customer as a product, as a final end item or final end element, I would like to ensure the process which are all considered will be having a methodology, and that methodology will increase the value, will increase the delivery time, will increase the furthermore qualitative approaches and expectations. And the capability is I can complete almost 10 to 15 deliveries in particular half a day. So the value which are all increasing will not be having a recognition in my work. So the delivery capabilities, which are all relevant and reliable only on the tools and practices what we do in project management. What kind of tool I'm having? For example, if I'm having an app, I can easily track where the consignment is. So the ethics is transparent. So it is giving me a transparent approach. So I'm happy. That's what we refer everything. What where it is, where the service provider exactly located, where the cab is, where the food is, where the parcel is. For each and every order we are tracking something which is openly saying that it is in this particular 10 kilometers away or 10 minutes away, which is nothing but giving me a clear cut understanding that when I will be getting the service, rather than if I'm making a phone call and they will be telling a lie which is nowhere related. Standing in Andhra and they will be giving me information stating that I'm from a nearby situation, I'll be coming in 1 hour, and giving me a wrong promise. So these wrong promises should not be given. It should not be encouraged. This is how major projects are getting devalued or depromoted. So when it is going to be a performance-oriented management, the components what we take into consideration is scheduling, cost, and scope. If these things are identified very well, the integrations becomes easy and the reflections becomes finally getting into an impact and making it to monitor the entire impact as overall acceptations. And finally it is giving you a potential value and decisions. So whenever you are, I mean getting into a live interaction or getting into a live streaming, number of comments, what you get, number of subscribers, how do you get, number of comments and number of subscribers going to reveal how many projections you're going to have, how many activist elements you're going to have, who are all the followers, who are all the service givers and service seekers. Everything will be judged in this performance management. And slowly, it is going to make sure that every component in an activity should be integrated, unless and otherwise, lack of integrations or standing independently will not give me the ethical projects. I should have a joining hands of all the individuals who are all really the contributors. I might have a choice that I may take 10 percentage from Mr. X, 10 percentage from Mr. Y. I can consolidate all their inputs and then to integrate into it. I might be in a situation to know which will be the more potential decision. This is how I try to configure and figure out the issues and sort out them in a very good manner. Finally, coming to the real situations of project management. So easy to start, easy to follow, easy to execute, but very difficult to end. This is how the tagline of project is. Easy to start, easy to explore, easy to follow, inspect, auditing, telling the problems and telling the issues, myths and challenges. Everything can be done openly. But when it comes to point of closure and wrapping, when I try to wrap it out, I may not find a knot. I may not find a thread for me to wrap it out because that thread is nothing but giving them the results transparently. Since I have not done any kind of experiments transparently, how do I be in a position to give the results openly? What is the sound factor I would have? Who are all the constraint creators? What is the push factor and pull factor? What is the initiation taking up towards the leadering? Everything will be lagging. So, real world situations are not like as we learn or as we read a book. While reading a theorem or while reading a evidence or a news, it will not be as like a real time situation. There might be some additions and there might be some imaginations included in a theoretical framework or a theoretical perspective. But when it comes to practical area, it is not like as we plan. It will be of full of constraints. It will be full of problems and consequences. And finally, there must be social considerations too. If a project is not considerably good, if it is not prospecting in a very good manner, the entire obligations what we put forth into a project, those obligations will be outstanding tickets. Those obligations will be unanswered queries. Those obligations will be unresolved problems. This is how we categorize. So across any profession, either you are a teacher or a businessman or a corporate individual or a employee, clerk, whatever the employability status you are belonging to, these three things: lack of transparency, unanswered queries, outstanding answers and frameworks. These three basic problems will give you lot of unethical issues and lot of making all the professionals to nullify. And finally, if this is going to be the regular practice, surely the project will have the negative shade and the projects come back after a separated, stipulated period of time, after a separation. If they are coming back again to the market as a new scope, they will not be in a situation to understand their competencies, and surely the comeback will also not be successful. The comeback will also be so very severe, so very strong, so very wider, and so very making complex. And this is how we are increasing the hype of major projects. And finally, when it comes to reality, it is not like a, tiger, it will be like a cat. So I'll be expecting a tiger to come out of a project. I'll be expecting a cat who is of the same family, but it is not of that much of mass and volume. So this is how projects are getting a de-imaginated or de-capable elements. So, to be very precise, giving a last statement of conclusion, so all the projects are, integrated, getting into a simplification, making the responsibility, ideations, and opportunities everywhere. Everywhere everything we are doing it in a consolidated way. But when it contains some linkages, allowing me to either go in a direct way, whether it is directly given to me or whether it is giving me with lot of complications, lot of applications, making it as a centralized one rather than a decentralized project. If it is going to be a centralized project, surely the projects will have ethics if it is going to be a centralized one. When the point of decentralization comes into role, obviously everyone tries to make it out of their own taste and preferences, taking into consideration everyone take it for granted. And finally, when I take it for granted for all the things, obligations will not be there, decisions will not be there. And finally, they will come with the prototype, which could be made as a scrap only, which could not be considered. Easily, it ties up with the standards and try to rule us or try to involve us in the particular project. But it will not be in a real time scenario. Surely, it will not fetch it to the market. So this is how ethics have a role with a lot of discrepancies taking into consideration whether to take or not. Will be in a confusions and dilemma. But as of the suggestions given by all the experts is concerned, ethics to be the maximized input. Then only roles and responsibilities will become volumetric. The roles and responsibilities will become stubborn, and it will make all the competitions to stronger. And we'll try to improve our quality and make the projects a successful one. So this is how ethics is playing a role in this particular session. So with this, we'll close for today. Any doubts on this? Any queries on this? Any doubts?
Now from my side, Professor.
Fine. So with this, we'll close.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.